If there's one thing life guarantees, it's change. Lately, we're seeing a lot of it.
Everywhere you look and everywhere you see, racism is being torn down.
People all over the world are fighting for what they believe is right.
There's no one who is protecting and serving black people in this community.
The effort to understand that fight and figure out what comes after inspired a new series here at CBS 17, Moving Forward. Since the murder of George Floyd, protesters and activists continue to demand social justice from the hands of law enforcement. Months later, we want to know how this movement is impacting our city and town leaders and how they are addressing the wake-up call. Tonight in our series, Moving Forward, I sit down with Durham Mayor Steve Schewel and listen to his point of view. Mayor, Durham has seen its fair share of protests over the last few months. Citizens have come out and expressed their concerns. What have you heard?
We have had protests in Durham, a lot of protests ever since the murder of George Floyd. And those are righteous protests. People need to be protesting. People are out for a larger reason, which is that our country has been and is beset by systemic racism that is real. We have incredible, still, racial inequities in our society, in healthcare, in education, in jobs, in income, in housing. And people are out to protest that, and that's right. I'm very supportive of that.
Mayor, how do you tell the difference between people that are protesting and the looters and the rioters? Because oftentimes, and we've seen it on social media, that the main cause that people are out there protesting gets overshadowed by spray paint on a building or shattered glass in the streets.
Yeah. The leadership of our protests, these are people, and they've said, I've talked to many of them. They love Durham, and they are protesting, but they're not trying to break things or tear things down. I think we all know the difference of somebody who's out protesting, righteously, and I've protested many times in my life, many times, including, very recently. But we know the difference between that and somebody who's just out to break a window or cause trouble. We've had very little vandalism. I don't know that we've had any looting. And I think there are reasons for that. I think that our police have done a fabulous job of supporting the protesters. You haven't seen any of those confrontational attacks because you've seen many places. I give full marks to Chief Davis and our police department for that.
Mayor, you are not of color, yet you support a lot of the things that people are striving for right now.
I'm almost 70 years old. And my parents were civil rights liberals. I went to my first civil rights march when I was 13 years old. And I've never looked back from that. It's why I've wanted to be in public office, is to right these, contribute as much as I can to right the tragic wrongs of segregation, of enslavement, of Jim Crow, of segregation, and the wrongs that exist today in terms of racial injustice. And I feel like that's my work.
So, Mayor, having said that, how does Durham move forward?
We need to be taking actions all the time to try to right the racial injustices that we see in our society. And I think Durham moves forward by taking action on those things and many more.
And there's so much more from my conversation with Mayor Schewel. You can find all of it and much more in the extended interview, which is up right now on our news app and on CBS17.com.